The Newport Car Museum is an art museum. Obviously, we have cars, beautiful cars, but they're displayed as art, and they are art. They're engineering art, they're the color, the shape, the history of the car. It's not just a car museum.
The Newport Car Museum, named so appropriately because it resides exactly in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, was founded in 2017 by Gunther and Maggie Boardman.
The first thought about the museum, he didn't have very many cars, and he was literally talking to his wife about selling them, and then they both came up with the idea of maybe a museum. It's a museum for everybody. You don't have to be a car aficionado to come in and enjoy what you see here. So we want to be something to everybody, not just the car people. Gunther always says he just buys things he likes. So he's his own curator. He finds them wherever they are, and then he gets them if he wants them. But the other things do factor in. We may get something because it was such a popular car in that particular color, and it comes available, and it's perfect. It's a museum quality. Gunther may buy that because of the rarity, all of it. That we want people to come in and see things that they grew up with, or there's always a story here. So that particular car has to have a following somehow, whether it be the younger generation, maybe like the Lambos and the supercars, or the older generation are liking the muscle cars, things that you grew up with. Wherever you fall in the generation gap, that's why we only display from 1954 to brand new, because we all grew up with these cars. The pre-war cars, sorry to say, those people are no longer with us, and they're still great cars, but it's not something that you're going to look at and say, oh yeah, my brother wrecked that car, or whatever the story is. So that's our formula. Almost nobody has cars of the quality that we would display. So they have great cars, and maybe they're lifelong owners of these cars, but it's not something that we would display. And same thing with cars on loan, we wouldn't do that.
We asked Vincent if he could show us around to his favorite cars of the museum collection.
2005 Porsche Carrera GT. It started off life as the engine was made for Formula One, which they didn't use, and the chassis and car was developed for Le Mans, which they didn't use. So someone had the bright idea to put the two together, and they made what we call, there's a couple fast cars. There's fast, there's stupid fast, and then there's dangerously fast. So this car, I could say it's dangerously fast. Fabulous car, beautiful, very expensive, and very rare at this point. The actor Paul Walker was killed, and he had one, and it was a tire issue, and the tire blew, and he and his driver were killed. But it's a phenomenally beautiful, crazy driving car. So I personally would not take this home. But, 87 Porsche 959 for 1987, and even now, this is an extremely advanced car. Four-wheel drive, the wheels are hollow, they're just the same pressure in the tire as in the wheel, adjustable suspension, extremely fast, and not importable into the United States. So Bill Gates bought one in 1987, and it sat in San Francisco Customs for 13 years until Bill Clinton passed a law, or during Clinton's era, that it was a show law, that if you could only drive at 2,500 miles a year, then you can import it in it was. But there are only a few hundred of them made, extremely significant portion in the life. Very collectible. So, the 1990 Corvette ZR1 is probably one of the most underappreciated cars in the museum. In the late 80s, Chevrolet wanted something that would compete with the Ferrari Testarossa, the Porsche 930. They had the Corvette, but it was very underpowered. So, Chevrolet or GM owned Lotus at the time, and they had Lotus design an engine for this car. It was so sophisticated that they couldn't really assemble it themselves, so they had Mercury Marine, who makes outboard motors, who also GM owns, hand assemble each one of these engines. At the time, it was 375 horsepower, which was, for 1990, was a lot of horsepower. So much so that they had to put huge tires on the back, and they had to make the car 3 inches wider than a regular Corvette. So it looks like a regular Corvette, but it isn't. And to this day, this car holds the world's sustained speed record. They took one off the production line. They took it right to the Firestone test track in Texas, 8 Mile Oval, and it did 175.5 miles an hour for an average speed of for 24 hours, for 5,000 miles, for whatever kilometers that equates to, and 3 other world records that still stand today. But people don't understand what a milestone car this was. Without this car, we wouldn't have any of these other cars. It's just an unbelievable car. We bring joy to people, and that's been the most rewarding thing. Everybody's got problems, everybody. But when they come here, the problems stay in the parking lot. People come in here and they reminisce, they're awestruck, whatever it is, for an hour and a half. None of those problems are forefront. They're all there when they get back in the parking lot, but at least for a little while, we have a respite of just fun. It's been great. Not too long in the future, you're not going to need your license. You're going to call something, you may not have a driver going to pick you up. So I think it's up to us to instill this love of the car, which is all over 100 years now, and to keep it going. So every once in a while, we'll take like an 8-year-old who's really out crazy about cars. We'll stick him in one of the cars. You'll never know whether that will spark something that keeps them going. I remember when I was 11, my uncle bought a brand new Corvette, and I remember exactly where we were when he ran through the gears, and I was never the same again. It just, I said, wow, this is for me. So I think it's up to us, because of the change that's going to happen really soon, is to keep it going. And it really is a true freedom when you're 16 and a half, and you get in the car, and now you're by yourself, and no one's telling you where to go, and it's an epiphany.